go?
Oh yeah, you know it.
All right. Hey everyone, welcome to Comics in the Making. My name is Ryan Holgerson. I'm the creator of Slackmatic, and I'm joined, as always, by Levi Erickson, the creator of the Big. Levi, how you doing, man?
Dude, it is hot as hell right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're not
I
even in like Arizona.
I know. I don't even want to jinx myself by even talking about air conditioning, but
Dude, my AC went out last weekend.
I saw a post about it that
The
your wife
thermostat
posted.
died.
That is awful, dude.
In 2017, we had a whole new system put in.
Oh,
And so the thermostat was like the Vizio TV of thermostats.
yeah.
Just good for a little bit.
Yeah,
Real high tech looking, real high, interface and touch, and you can link it with your phone, but
yeah,
not worth a a hoot in hell, as
yeah,
General Patton would say.
yeah, yeah. No, I heard a lot of those smart home things, like they're such a pain in the ass.
Yeah. And here's the best part, because we're still under parts warranty.
Mm-hmm.
Thermostat is not a part. Yeah.
How?
So,
Oh
but
my God.
we have like an old school Honeywell, every cinder block building you've been in has a Honeywell thermostat. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it'd be good for the lifetime of the unit.
Oh, I hope so, man. Oh, yeah. Like I said, I don't even want to jinx myself. Mine's working so hard, and it's the same AC unit that I've had since we bought the house 17 years ago, and I'm like, just
Ours went for close to 20 years before we had
yeah,
to replace it. So
right. So yeah,
sorry.
it's still going. It's still going.
We might cut all this out, talk about ACs and bullshit.
No, it's really interesting. That's why everybody came here. They were like, "What's the weather like?" And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you're in the U.S., it's fucking hot.
And if you're not in the US, it's fucking hot.
It's fucking hot. The entire world is fucking hot, but it's okay because our governments are going to do absolutely nothing about it. So before we get started today, I wanted to give another quick shout out to Talking Small Press Comics by Lauren Justin and Steve Keeter. I mentioned them in the last episode at the end, but I wanted to get it right at the beginning today. They do a great show. If you liked our mini comic show, where we were going through all sorts of mini comics, that's what they do every single episode. So if you're wanting to find some new stuff that you've never heard of, want to see what's new in the world of underground mini comics, small press, definitely check out their show. Again, I think that channel is under Larned Justin, which is LARNED JUSTIN.
Sounds good to me.
Check it out. So what are we talking about today, Levi? What are we doing?
So we have a new format for the show. Not to change the whole format of all the shows, but we thought of an idea. It all generated with us kind of
We're
pre-gaming.
doing it naked.
I would never do that. I mean, I'm not never. There are photographs of me jaybirding around with nothing but a cap and shoes and socks. So,
I'm
but
sorry.
the worst part about it is I'm not in possession of those photographs.
Uh, I've got some photographs like that too.
Luckily, they're 30 years old.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've got some about that old.
You get a much better representation of Levi in those photos.
Yeah, I'll tell you about my photographs later. It's good.
That's for the patrons.
Yeah.
But so we had this idea. We are talking about, like, the idea of maybe kind of asking each other questions without prompts, and that kind of got to rolling. So we are going to introduce a segment or a show format that we'll do from time to time, especially if we get some viewers involved, that we're calling hot potato. And what that means is one of us has the hot potato and we ask an unprompted question of the other that's comics related, and short form answer. We're not going to go into a lot of like nuance or context. And I think it's going to be a fun result that we're going to end up with, or embarrassing at least.
Yeah. And I have no idea what Levi's questions are. He has no idea what mine are. Uh we spent about 5 minutes coming up with these questions, so just everyone should know that they're super well thought out, and nothing can go wrong. Uh,
So who's got the hot potato?
you go first.
All right. What's your price tag?
My price tag.
If no, if
I'll take my shirt off.
if you were approached by a publisher or a studio or someone and they say, "Hey, we want Slackmatic. We want to like develop it. We want to make it, you know, we want everyone in the world to know about Slackmatic. Just sign here." Which price?
Okay. So I'll be honest, it would have to be it would it would have to be a sum of money that I could live on for the next few years. Without necessarily divulging that amount, but I mean, we all live in America and have bills and stuff like that. So it would be a significant amount of money. It would be a significant amount of money that I don't think any comic publisher right now would like even remotely uh puts forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it would have to be that. And the big reason is because a lot of advances and a lot of publishers, when they're coming to people right now, um, the sum of money that you're getting is not enough to live on for any amount of time. And if you want to put your best foot forward and devote yourself to that and put out the best product you can, then it needs to be your only thing. It needs to be an amount of money where
Oh yeah.
you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing. But I can guarantee you, with any publisher or any enterprise out there right now, if that were to happen, the amount of money would be, oh my God, I'm still hustling and still doing my day job and also trying to do this for you.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So yeah. So that was like a question that
So a lot.
maybe was a time, made more sense at a different time.
Yeah, maybe.
You
I
know,
guess. It was a good question. It's a good question, Levi. Is it my turn?
Papa did.
Okay. All right. Hot potato. Who's your favorite comic book publisher?
Ooh, favorite comic book publisher. Man, I would have to go with Image Comics, and that's not based on the comics they put out so much, but their commitment to creators and
Yeah.
fans and fans. I think it's a two-sided coin, and they balance that coin on the edge as well as can possibly be expected from any major publisher. So definitely Image is my favorite publisher, whether or not I'm reading a lot of Image comics at the current moment.
Right. Right. Well, I think that's a cool thing about Image, though, because they have so much stuff out there in different genres, and I think that's part of the reason they're so successful.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and some of that. Well, it was always from the beginning because it was creator owned and everyone had their own uh concepts and takes, and it started as superhero comics that resembled the books that the founding fathers as we say were doing, you know, for their original publishers. And then it took on a life of its own, and then the comics industry changed. And I think the way Image adjusted to those changes and challenges throughout the years, they succeeded where others failed. And I believe strongly the commitment to the creators with the respect of fans is why they were able to not just hang on and survive, but also be interchangeably one of the big three all this time.
right. Well, and they've stuck to their guns with their deal too.
Yeah.
Um, it's, we're not putting any money up front. We're going to help you with, getting the thing out there and stuff like that, but we're not paying you up front. We're not paying your team. That's all up to you. You're taking a bet on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a recent episode of Observations, uh, with Rob Liefeld where he talks about an almost image like 2.0 or whatever, and they wanted money up front, and they didn't take they passed on it because they were like, no, that's not how it works. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Check that. I haven't seen that one yet, so I'll look forward to checking that one out.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Sweet.
All right, your turn.
All right. Woo. Hot, 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 hot,
Hot potato.
hot. If you were going to hire someone to work on Slackmatic with you or for you, what would they do and who would it be?
Let's see, who would it be? I really don't think I could answer who it would be. I don't know. What would they do? I would have no problem with having an art assistant. Uh, I'd have no problem with someone coming in and like doing backgrounds or doing colors. A little bit. I feel like I would still be going in there and saying, well, this is what, we're going to tweak this a little bit, but having someone go in and do flats, do backgrounds, anything like that, like I would have no problem. I would have no problem with that. As far as who, like, yeah, I don't know. I haven't met them yet. So
No, that's pretty cool because
that's the
like
thing. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I would, I would stick to my guns too. And we talk a lot about, treating this like a business and getting your fair share. And I would never like go to someone and say, "Hey, do you want to work on this for free?" But don't worry, there'll be exposure or some shit like that.
well, I should have said it like as a caveat,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No.
you're hiring them, so
Right. Oh
yeah,
yeah. No. Yeah.
okay,
If I were ever to do that, that it would be on that. You're an assistant and I'm paying you for it.
yeah,
So. But
and
yeah, no, I would have no problem with it. In fact, I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times I've been sitting there drawing, going, God, I wish I had an assistant. Like, I would kill for like, like a mangaka studio where they've got like 4 or 5 assistants, because like I'm always just trying to figure out how to get everything done fast, you know.
yeah, yeah. Eh, and my if I were to answer that question, it'd be the same thing. Someone who can do the gray tones, for the
Yeah.
black comic, um, do corrections and digital file management.
Hmm.
Take that off my plate, and I can just continue to write. But also that second set of eyes and ears and mind to kind of like, oh yeah, that was okay, but maybe cut that dialogue down a little bit. With the story would flow better. So
Yeah, I would allow no opinions whatsoever. So good on you.
yeah,
I'll tell you, I the how
I
I
want
how
I want an assistant, but I'm going to use them as an editor.
yeah, no, I would see whenever I'm like short on ideas or something like that, and I'll ask my wife or a friend or my daughter or somebody, and I'll be like, "You got any ideas for this?" And I might set them up on like here's where I'm at or something like that, and they'll be go, "Oh, you could do this," and I'll tell you what, it works because they tell me their idea, and I go, "That's dog shit," and then I was like, "This is how we should do it," and so it's like everyone's bad idea gives me the idea that I like. So
I get that.
yeah.
100% get that.
All right. I've got the potato now.
Yeah.
All right. Levi, is comics dying?
Ooh. What do you mean by comics?
I'm gonna leave it to you. I'm just comics. The sequential art form. Are
Hmm.
comics dying? I can't believe I wrote is comics dying. It's are comics dying.
Well, semantics. Um, I'm not really an inside baseball guy. I never have been with anything I've ever been involved with, including baseball. So that was weird. Did you hear that? Got some weird. Cut that out. Cut. Cut.
All right, Dave Coulier.
That's right. Something's weird here. My mic is being weird. Give me just about 2 seconds to see if I
All
can
right.
check one. See it. Yeah, it's fuzzy. Why are you fuzzy? Check 1 2. Check, check, check. Check. Yeah, I think my mixer board needs little bit of love. We should be all right now.
Okay. Yeah,
Unrelated.
you sound fine on this end. So
Okay, maybe it's just my headphones.
yeah.
Unrelated. We did our line check at Amos's, and it is so like pro, and like everything is like every band has their own load in time, and
Yeah.
it's like 4.5 hours before stage time. Um,
Yeah.
did a line check. Everything's great. Get up to play our set to a packed house at a metalcore show, and my guitar starts cutting out
Oh,
in the first song. So
no
I
way.
just banged on the knobs until it stopped cutting out.
Yeah.
So I've got to give some love to the guitar, and I think I have to give some love to this audio equipment as well. But I think we're over that hump. Maybe if I manage myself with this microphone. So you want to hit me with that question one more time?
Yeah. Levi, are comics dying?
If we're talking about print comics in a local comic book shop, if we're talking about back issue comics, collectibles that relate to our sequential story icons, whatever, I don't think they're going to go away. We've watched it diminish over the decades. We watched the spinner racks go away. Um, we've watched major companies go, bankrupt, restructure, get bought by larger companies, and the effects, both good and bad, on the print side of the house. But I don't believe comic books are going anywhere. Comics are like the NHL, National Hockey League. It will never get bigger than it is. And if it does, that's just because all the other sports have gotten that much bigger.
Yeah.
Hockey thrives on the fan base that it's generational. You pass it on to your generation. Your kids are into it. You flutter off to wherever you go, and it's just sort of compartmentalized. And so long as you can maintain this, then it will survive. And I think print comics are there. If any part of print comic media is suffering right now, it is, I'm going to call them out, Marvel and DC. And that has a slew of reasons, um, not the least of which their association with a cinematic universe, which is, has done great things, but also has been, the fact that there are people who you can talk to and they're aware of the fact of a separation of theatrical cinematic fans of these characters and print fans, and the overlap is not as wide as you would hope it would be. However,
Right.
that still sometimes that somehow has a heavy effect on the comics that are offered by these companies. I understand why. You make one thing and make it all streamlined to deliver that to the consumer base, and your back end, your overhead is low. Um, and that's why there's a lot less, I think, variety in the major, comic publishers. Image notwithstanding, Dark Horse notwithstanding.
Right. Yeah. No, I think as an art form, uh, it's not dying at all. I mean, in fact, I think there's probably, well, I don't think probably there are more people doing the art form now than ever before. With things like web comics and webtoons, um, you know, even when the copy machine became a thing, and you started seeing mini comics and zines and stuff like that. They were still not on the level of amateurs uh doing the craft. So But yeah, no, I'm always reminded every time the comics dying uh question gets posed. Joe Quesada said in an interview, like the comic industry is always foretelling its demise.
Dude. That is
You know,
yeah.
and you go
I
back and you
that
listen to interviews with like Walt Simonson and Howard Chaykin when they were doing their thing in the late 70s, early 80s and stuff, and they were saying the same thing. They're like, we do whatever the fuck we want because we thought it was going to die. And it's funny because the numbers they were selling back then, like, oh my god, Marvel and DC would give anything
yeah.
for those numbers, and those were considered like, oh, this industry is going to die. So, yeah, I mean, I can see Marvel, I can see floppies going away. I think I can see that. But comics as an art form, no,
No,
I think it's strong. But I could definitely, I can see a world where floppies are gone. I don't think that's hard to imagine.
I get that. Maybe just trades only, or
Yeah.
you know,
I don't understand why they haven't tried the manga system. I mean, could you imagine like being a kid and getting a big book of nothing but Batman like once a month or something like that? And it's like, here's all of our Batman titles.
when I was a little
Here's
kid.
all of our DC titles, and Marvel, Marvel can go like, here's all of our X titles, here's all of our Spider-Man titles. Yeah, and it comes in this big chunky magazine
Yep.
every month. One, the price point on that is they'd actually be able to sell it for more. They'd be able to make more money. And they might even be able to you know, get back into grocery stores and stuff like that,
I
be
was
on the
gonna say,
magazine
yeah,
racks.
I was gonna say, I mean, do you think they're leaving money on the table? Now, this is once again from a total place of ignorance on my part, but I don't know what it would take to get a spinner rack
Well,
back into the 7-Elevens
I
or
think,
for the
because I
new.
mean
There are
that's
magazines.
how so that I mean that's how I discovered comics was definitely from a spinner rack. I know that's how you found it. I think a lot of people our age, it was a spinner rack, and now that's it's kind of a bygone thing.
But
I
here's the
I
question:
would say
why?
it's important to remember though that those were newsstand sales. And so newsstand sales, the reason the direct market was so important was
Yeah, yeah,
because you're buying the books and now you fucking got them. You can't return them. The newsstand sales, which is why it was always a random amount, like you never knew if you were going to get X-Men 275 and then get X-Men 276 at the same
yeah,
7-Eleven, because if they didn't sell them, they could send them back. And that's why it took so long to get the sales data for newsstand, because it would be several months before they
sure.
knew what they actually sold. So, and I don't know enough about magazine and newsstand distribution now. I mean, it doesn't really doesn't exist almost. I mean, they still sell magazines at bookstores and stuff like that. But God,
Grocery
I mean,
store, some.
I can't imagine it's what they've got to be in the same problem that comics are.
Yeah.
So I would love to see a spinner rack come back. I think the problem with getting them is the advantage for a place like a 7-Eleven to put those books there and sell them was, if we don't sell them,
Yeah.
we get to return them. And so it's they would have to go back to that sort of system
Well,
for it to work.
that begs the question because magazines are still in grocery stores, they're still
Yeah,
in convenience stores, and that must be that whatever model exists now, whether it's the same as it was then. I couldn't imagine it is because
yeah,
the nature of magazines has changed.
yeah,
You go to the grocery store, you will see some monthly periodicals, but a lot of it are oh, it's 50 years of Jaws. Oh,
yeah. It's always like a
20 years like
one-off
yeah,
time special. Yeah,
so it makes me which can obviously sit on the stand longer than a monthly periodical or magazine, whatever.
yeah.
But it makes me wonder, would there be an opportunity if it made sense? And maybe it doesn't, but let's say I owned the local comic shop, and we're thriving. And there's a gas station across the street from me. And I know that owner really well over the years. I say, hey, dude, what if I put a spinner rack in your gas station with a few choice titles? We work out a little bit of a deal. Maybe I just pay you rent, as for the space, as you might for if you're selling the firewood or whatever,
Yeah.
and just see what happens. And if something happens off of that, then maybe I ask. He owns two, three, and I put a rack in each one. Spitballing, talking out
No, I think
my
it's a fun
butt.
idea. I think the
Um,
problem is the margins for comic book sales are so small.
mm,
Because we talk about trying to stay independent and owning your own, get rid of that middleman. And
yeah,
that's part of the problem with comic. If you go into diamond distribution and store distribution, and who's the last person to get paid, it's always the artist and stuff like that.
yeah,
Well, the part of that is, diamonds taking 60%, the retailers taking, what is it, 20% or whatever. You're left with like 20%. So I guess the problem I see with that is then you would have to have it would have to work for that retailer to, he's already only getting 20% of
right,
a book sale. Then to take it to another place to have someone else be in charge of that stock
yeah,
to share that profit,
yeah. So that it
So
would
I just I don't see how that works without it being on like a big level, you
no,
know.
for sure. And it might be a case of just an old dude trying to hang on to something that is comforting from the past.
Yeah.
But I can't help but think, but if I'm a Marvel or a DC and I feel like my sales are slumping, I need to look. I mean, what if Marvel cut a deal with 7-Eleven and they announce a big thing? Okay, we're gonna have Marvel in the 7-Elevens once again. You know, it may not be sustainable, but it'd be a big deal for a summer.
I think I like the idea.
You
But
know,
I think the problem is, what Marvel's part of Disney now.
they don't give a shit. I get
And
that.
they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. And the comic and even and DC, it's part of uh Discovery or whatever now, right? Discovery, Time Warner. I don't know. Fuck, man. I've lost track of who owns fucking
It's all
DC and Warner
Sinclair.
Brothers
It's
and
all
all that shit.
Sinclair.
So the comic margins is literally like you know, it's such a small fraction of their total business
Yeah.
that I don't think anyone there at that level is going, how do we get more comics into people's hands? They don't really care. They're just using it as like an IP farm right now. Um, so I just, I mean, it sucks, Now there have been other smaller publishers. What was it? Alterna Comics. Alterna Comics I think he got into, now I don't know what's happened to him. I haven't looked recently, but he was trying to bring back newsprint publishing
Right.
and uh and selling books for like $1, $2, $3, like super super low prices. And he had to stop it because of COVID, but there for a while, like, you could actually jump on and get books printed with him. uh and it helped him out because he was just bringing them all to the same web press and stuff like that. uh but anyway, I this was probably 5 years ago at this point, but I know he had gotten into, I think he got into like Dollar Tree or Dollar Store or something like that. He was selling there. I know I had seen his books in like Books a Million. Um, they had some there. Now I don't see him anymore. I don't know if he's out of business now or if he's just on a smaller level. But I think that's kind of what you need, though, is probably a smaller publisher that would be willing to take that risk or think outside the box. to do something like that,
Yeah,
you know.
because the big ones
And it
are.
sucks because, like, I mean, like I said, I really think if Marvel and DC just thought out of the box a little bit, then they could do it. But I just don't think they care.
Yeah.
I don't think they care.
Yep.
So
Yep. Sadly, I'm not going to get my spinner rack back in the 7-Eleven. And to that end, if they showed up, I would probably go the first day and buy what I wanted, and then never go back to the spinner rack again if that happened. Because I just know how I am. So
I mean, the
no,
the the,
I just
the
wanted to
thing,
be there. I don't want to be involved in
yeah. I mean, the
it.
thing is, it's kind of like I think the internet is the new spinner rack.
Yeah, probably.
And I know, like, us old guys, we're sad that you can't walk into a gas station and buy a comic and stuff like that now, but you can you can sit on your toilet and buy a comic now, like
No,
you
for real, for
you
real.
like
Well,
you know
all the comics I had before I was like a comic collector and got wise to, hey, this story continues in the next issue. And if
yeah,
I come back to this place, I can get that. It was all road trip stuff, parents, cheap
yeah,
entertainment. Nine times out of 10, it was like a Casper or Richie Rich, so I could share with my sister, you know.
yeah.
Um, never got the Spider-Man that I wanted or, whatever. But that's how they got in our hands, gassing up, parents are getting some cigarettes and some sodas and, mom, I want something. And you get a comic book.
Hey, I mean, Jaime and Gilbert Hernandez swear by some of those Archie comics.
Yeah.
And you can see them. You can see it in Love and Rockets. You can see that influence on them. Uh, so I mean,
Yeah.
that's they're
Yeah.
probably they're probably. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna have a top five living cartoonist right now, and you're not putting Gilbert and Jaime in there, and
Okay. Cool.
you know, and they're looking at Archie's.
So I'll take the potato now.
All right. So we got like 4 minutes. Do you wanna
I got
stop this recording and come back?
no. I'll just give you this last one.
Okay.
It'll be really easy for you to answer because you just did.
Okay.
If you could bring anyone to the show to interview, who would it be?
Oh, well, I don't think it would be them though.
Ooh.
Well, because I mean, because I want to stand by what we said at the
Yep.
beginning of our episodes, and that was to stick with the smaller creators and stuff like that. Um, so, but if I had carte blanche and I could pick anybody, honestly, I think I'd get Jeff Smith. I'm such a huge fan of Bone, and yeah, 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 yeah. And his comics were such a huge impact on me. So, I mean, if it was like, okay, we could pick anybody, I'd go with Jeff Smith.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. This I think this whole format's kind of great, and especially if we get some viewers to throw some questions our way in the comments or email at comicsinthemaking@gmail.com. Get a hold of us. It's easy to find out how to do that, and throw us your questions, and we compile enough good ones. We'll do another hot potato session, and
Absolutely.
I think it's fun, and it worked out better than I expected.
No, it's fun.
So it is late July, and this Saturday there's a big thing going on with our buddies up there in Pittsburgh, Cartoonist Kayfabe, Jim Rugg at Piscor. They got the comic book Christmas in July, and this is the second year it is running. I participated in it last year. Were you able to participate? Did you get some out there?
No, no, I had to work.
So basically, lending libraries, and we'll definitely refer you to Cartoonist Kayfabe for more details. But the long and the short of it is, all these free lending libraries out there. If you've got doubles, if you've got your own books, uh, multiple copies, get them out there, and you can put a note and say, "Hey, this is to get into comics. Check these out." I've got a, obviously some lots of copies of the big preview ash can. I'm really bad about duplicating stuff from dollar bins. So I got a bunch of stuff to go out. Got some good stuff to go out too.
Oh yeah,
Um, that I'm just going to chunk in there. And I think they have a printable that kind
they
of
do.
explains, yeah,
Yep.
over there at Cartoons Kayfabe. If you go to them, you probably already know.
Yeah.
So it needs no introduction. But
Yeah. And it's
just
all about just increasing the readership in comics.
yeah,
And
and with the end goal is to get those spinner racks back in the 7-Eleven.
yeah. Right.
That's it, isn't it? Isn't that the stated purpose?
Sure.
Well, this was fun, Ryan. Definitely. I'm stoked that we got this one in the can. Do you have anything else to add? Any more questions from me or the viewers?
No, just I just want to second what Levi said. Leave us comments, leave us more questions. So we can gather those from there.
Hell
And
yeah.
please, I know we always say like and subscribe and stuff like that, but really tell a friend. If you have an artist friend or someone you think might like the show, tell them about it. Word of mouth works so much better than just social media.
Absolutely. Do the damn thing.
All right.